you listen to reason? Will you open your eyes? It's a wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion for the sake of the world. This delusion, it's gotta go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Atheist Experience. I'm your host today, Russell Glasser, and with me is Jen Peeples.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good.
Today is Sunday, March 16th, 2014. We are a live call-in public access television show based in Austin, Texas, dedicated to promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We're available live streaming through ustream.tv. I guess I should start mentioning that you can follow us on Twitter, but we don't tweet anything.
Yeah.
But it's like at Atheist EXP Show. So I won't say that again next time.
Yeah, we also have the
We have-
ACA's Twitter account, which is inside the
Yeah,
ACA.
we got that. Do you tweet on that?
I tweet on that very rarely, so yeah, I
Yeah,
apologize.
okay.
I need
Don't
to be
follow
better
us
at
on
that.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Check out our Facebook group and our blog, freethoughtblogs.com/AXP. The official Atheist Experience website is www.atheist-experience.com, and you can provide feedback on the blog I just mentioned or email tv@atheist-community.org. If you enjoy this show, check out our related podcast, The Nonprofits, currently airing on the first and third Wednesdays of the month. The next one is going to air on March 19th. And Godless Bitches, I understand you guys have done a couple episodes, but never posted them.
Yeah, there was one in February that I'm not sure why it didn't get posted, but I'll research that and try to get it on the air. We have had some technical problems.
Right.
And so we're trying to work through those, hopefully get those resolved soon and get back to
All right,
a
returning
regular schedule.
soon.
Yeah.
And of course, like always, we're going to meet after the show. El Arroyo, 1624 West 5th Street, arriving at 6 p.m. And anybody who watches is welcome to attend. It's been a long time since I've warned people not to preach, proselytize, or provoke, because they don't.
Yeah.
So keep not doing that.
Yeah,
How are you today? What?
Good. Yeah, we get email from people asking if we have, this kind of problem,
I think
and we never.
People are scared that like some crazy gunman is going to come in.
Yeah, we never have a problem with theists approaching us aggressively here in Austin.
Yeah, no, Austinites are very nice and weird.
Yes, that's true.
And it's still South by Southwest. So if you're coming, again, I'm going to repeat the warning from last week that if you can avoid driving straight through downtown, you probably should.
Yeah, it's still going to be crazy there.
Yeah.
Is 6th Street still blocked off, or is that open now?
I don't know, because I have successfully avoided. Actually, I took a train to downtown earlier this week to meet some friends.
Okay.
But anyway.
All right. Well, what I wanted to talk about today was
You have a terrifyingly stern warning for our fans today.
Well, which terrifyingly stern warning is that?
I'll just let you do it.
Well, one of the things we publish on the show's website is, a comment that, hey, there's tons of shows out there for theists. We don't have guests on the show or people whose goal is to exclusively promote theism. And we have a policy on the show that we don't allow our show to become a soapbox for theists. There are plenty of other outlets for that. So you can imagine how surprised I was to get a message from a deist who emailed us asking us to read his message on the air, which I'm not going to do because I'm not going to give him a soapbox here. But I will summarize it and explain why I have a problem with this theist contacting us, in particular to, basically complain about Christians. The the email was him expressing some anger that extremists, primarily Christians, have basically hijacked education in the state of Texas and other places. They do some terrible things. The Bible's evil, and we should. He's angry at them. He wants them to stop, and he wants more moderate Christians to stand up to these extremists, even to the point of going to their churches and protesting and disrupting their services. And he wants me to read this on the air as his message to Christians. Again, I'm not going to read the full message. I'm publishing it on the blog. You can read it there. What I'm going to say is that I'm very curious about why a theist would write to us and assume that we would do this, that we would, promote his beliefs, because basically he still believes in a God. He's still a theist, even though it's a kind of a nebulous God. But, the irony of it is that he's accusing more moderate Christians of providing essentially political cover to the extremists. But in many ways, his beliefs, which are based on the same flawed philosophical arguments, provide the same kind of political cover to moderate Christians. And in particular, deists rely on cosmological arguments and teleological arguments. So these are first cause arguments and basically arguments from design, or the watchmaker argument, as a basis for their beliefs. So basically, same foundational flaws in their belief system, and he wants us to present those. So essentially, he's coming at this from kind of a position where he sees the flaws in someone else's beliefs without, for a moment, I guess, questioning the foundations of his own beliefs, and I find that a little odd. And I'll just point out that cosmological and teleological arguments don't magically get better just because a deist presents them. So just because you don't believe in a specific God doesn't mean that your arguments are any better. And one of the many harms that religion does is that it encourages belief in things for which you have no evidence. And if your beliefs rest on the same flawed foundation as those of theists, then you don't get to use our show to promote those beliefs. And as for encouraging people to protest at church services and disrupt those services, I don't advocate that. People have a right to their beliefs, and they have a right to assemble in a church and do whatever it is they do there. And I don't advocate disrupting that. So anyway, you can read more about that on the blog.
There are a lot of people who seem to think that our show should be their soapbox, and I'm not just talking about a number of emails, but a number of callers who think that they're entitled to fake their name every week.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you've got a message to get out there, find a way to get it out there yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a YouTube channel, you can start a blog. There are
it's really
lots of
not
ways
hard.
that you can get your message out there.
I don't know.
So, yeah.
We're in grumpy old people mode today.
I know.
And let's
Get off
see,
my lawn.
Let's see what Deshawn in Austin has to say.
Yeah. How you guys doing?
Or is
All
it
right.
Charlie?
I just wanted to say a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
See
there
what
you
I'm
go.
saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Ben in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hi.
All right.
Good. I just like to say, this is a really awesome show, and I'm an atheist, and I live in North Carolina, and you guys are just doing a really great job.
Thanks,
Keep up
Ben.
the good work.
Okay. So
My question was about a book by a man named Dennis R. MacDonald, and it's called the Homeric Epics and the Gospel of Mark.
Okay.
okay.
And it kind of talks about the parallels between the Odyssey, like Odysseus in the Odyssey, and Jesus in the Gospel of Mark. Like he took, in order to convey the message of Jesus from a Jewish perspective to a Greek audience, he's kind of using the Odyssey as a way to kind of fill in the blanks of what we know about Jesus, what little we know.
Okay. What would you say is the implication of that? I mean, what?
Well, I mean, when you look at certain aspects of Greek mythology, you can see it in some of the Gospels. Like, for example, Pericles, when he dies, no one can find his body.
Okay.
He's burned up.
All right. But okay. There's something in literature called a typology. So you have these typological tales, and essentially, you can think of them as tropes. Are you familiar with the website about TV tropes?
.org, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. No.
Okay.
You should check it out sometime.
Yeah. So that's basically what these are, almost like tropes from ancient literature. And so you find the same kinds of stories over and over in some of the ancient literature. They're just themes that people go with. They were popular at the time. And you find the same things happening here, like, in the TV tropes.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not sure what your point is on that.
Well, there's a source that the historians in the New Testament use called Q, which I think
Yes.
is lost.
Yes.
And Dennis R. MacDonald is basically using the Odyssey and kind of other Greek mythology to kind of show like what Q is.
I'm really wary of people who draw these kind of parallels with each other,
Right.
because basically you can pull to, like, if you've got the mindset to come up with connections between things, you can come up with connections even if they weren't intentional between lots and lots of things. I don't know if you've
Right.
ever seen, like, Jon Stewart do his parody of Glenn Beck, where he stands in front of a board and draws little lines all over the place to things that seem similar. But I mean, I've heard these. Basically, we're talking about a conspiracy where
Right.
where the Christian religion was in some way deliberately developed to keep people in line somehow.
No,
And-
I'm not really coming from it.
Okay.
From like that. I mean, I think Jesus existed. I mean,
All right.
most historians do.
Well
I'm just
then,
saying-
why is the parallel to Greek mythology interesting to you?
Because it'd be a way to solve the kind of unknown question of Q.
Oh,
That's what I was just asking.
I mean, I guess that's interesting to literary scholars and historical scholars. I personally find none of it convincing as real stories, and so I don't have as much interest in that
I guess
sort of.
I don't understand
coming up with a connection like that.
I don't understand why you think it points to some, I guess, revelation about Q.
Well, I mean, I was just wondering if you guys had heard about it.
I haven't read the book, so I don't know. But
Okay, it's
I mean,
pretty big. It's pretty thick.
Yeah, I mean, I've read lots of other writers who've made similar claims about, well, there's this astonishing similarity between some of these other myths, and sometimes they draw really faulty conclusions based on that.
Right.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying he was invented. I'm just saying that. He existed. He's an actual person in history.
Yeah.
Who was?
I'm just saying, as a way to solve
Okay.
kind of why are there certain stories in certain gospels and not in others?
Well, I think that, if you look at what the gospel writers were trying to do, each of them had a specific audience they were addressing. And so
Right.
they were telling a story to a specific audience in a way that they thought, that this story would resonate with that audience.
Right, like in Matthew, for example, it's almost like Jesus is like the new Moses. There's goes to Egypt and a
Yeah.
king puts a hit out on him.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the work of Bart Ehrman?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the kind of beef between Bart Ehrman and Richard Carrier?
Which Carrier?
Yeah, Richard Carrier, sorry.
Well, I know Richard Carrier, and I have a lot of respect for his research. I also know a bit about Bart Ehrman, having read some of his work, and I think that, you know, as a scholar, Bart Ehrman is generally pretty reliable. And I'm trying to remember the particular dust-up that you're talking about. Basically, Ehrman, I think, takes the view that Jesus probably was an historical figure. And Carrier, of course, is a mythicist, and he can justify that, I think, pretty solidly with some of the stuff that he's done. So I guess what's your point on asking this question here?
There was like a recent debate online over a book that Bart Ehrman wrote called "Did Jesus Exist?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
In which he kind of put it out like almost people saying there's a lot that we don't know about him, as kind of like a conspiracy. But I mean, it's true. I mean, there's a lot we don't know about him.
Yeah,
And a
I
lot of
mean,
it is
I prefer to avoid the historicity argument altogether by basically saying that Jesus, to the extent that he existed, is basically Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter.
Yeah.
He's loosely based on a true character, but if all you knew was the story of Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter, you would not be in a position to say anything about the real particulars of his life and what about that comic book was true or false.
Right.
So, I mean, that's pretty much my take on the whole situation. I think it's of mild interest that some people think that he might not have existed at all, and I think it's hard to settle big historical questions like that, and I know Bart Ehrman is very satisfied that Jesus was real.
Yeah. I guess one of the things, I heard him on a podcast many years ago, and he was asked specifically about the mythicist position, and he made a claim that no reputable scholars actually accept the mythicist position, and that's not true.
Yeah.
So
Right.
there are some reputable scholars who believe that Jesus was a myth.
Right. I mean, it's not a clear and cut case, is what I'm trying to say.
But
Yeah.
I think
We
that we're
don't know a
gonna.
lot about it.
And I apologize. I don't know very much about this dust up between the two of them. I read some stuff, but it's been probably over a year ago that I actually read some stuff about the argument. It's not that recent.
Actually, I think we're going to move on to some other callers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Jack in Michigan.
Hi, I was calling to ask why you guys are atheists.
This sounds like James. And that's 2 for 2 today. Ben, North Carolina.
We just talked to him.
Oh, sorry. It's going to be one of those days.
Oh, well, it's okay.
Terrance in Pennsylvania.
Hello.
Terrance,
Hi,
is that
good to
you?
be on. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yes. My question was about how to debate Jehovah's Witness. I recently let them come over to my house and basically let them tell me their views
Okay.
on what they think. And it's kind of hard because everything that they're saying, they don't really think for themselves. They're just referring to the Bible and letting that speak for them.
Well, then call them on that.
And I just spoke with them. Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're still on the air.
Hello?
go on.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. Yes. Basically, the thing that I was just talking to them about was how they think that science doesn't conflict with what the Bible says. And I just wanted to know what you thought about that.
Well, I mean, that's obviously not true, but it also depends on what claims they're making. I mean,
It was
specifically
basically about the creation, on how it doesn't conflict with I mean, I saw how it conflicted. I mean, they're saying how it says in the Bible the 6 days is equal to like 1,000 days or something like that, and it adds up to the billion years.
Okay,
14.
so you know what I say when people tell me that the Bible has accurate science if you look at it in a certain way? My first question is always, do you believe that there was light in the universe before the sun and stars existed? And then to follow that up, do you think that plants were created before the sun and the earth was created before the sun? Because those things, I mean, you know, they're going to try to argue that that's plausible, but the point is they can't say that this is in agreement with modern science when that is a really huge difference between what scientists actually think.
Yeah, I was also thinking how it says for, like, you know, a day is basically how we go around we spin around.
Yeah.
The sun. So it, like, for the first day, like, you would have to be on Earth for it to be considered a day, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. And
Well, I mean, what they're describing, it's called day-age creationism. Okay, it's basically saying that the days described in Genesis are not literal days, that it corresponds to some mythical age which is not a well-defined term at all. And, you know, one of the things about science is that we try to define terms pretty precisely. And one of the things about religion, especially creationism, is that they try to blur the definitions of certain terms, you know, to kind of slide it in there and make it fit. So ask them to define exactly what they mean and then argue their point that way. But the other thing that you said that they use the Bible, they keep quoting of it. Jehovah's Witnesses use a very specific Bible translation because they believed that I forget who started this, but anyway, he believed that the existing Bible translations were inaccurate. So they have their own Bible translation, which is inaccurate. So you can call them on that, why they have to have their own Bible translation, why they can't use one of the other translations, because these other translations are largely done by committees of scholars who have specific expertise in the ancient languages that they're translating these things from. And that's not true of the Watchtower Bible.
Okay.
But
one other thing that they said.
when people quote the Bible to me, my first impulse is generally to just tell them flat out, you know, I don't take that book seriously at all.
Right.
So I don't really care what it says in there. Make me care. And then you can have a conversation about, like, you know, what's a solid foundation of knowledge, you know, why you should take the book more seriously than, let's say, the Odyssey that the first caller was talking about.
Yeah.
You know, there's all kinds of stuff that people have written about all kinds of things. There's a lot of competing religions out there that they don't listen to. And so when they come at you just by throwing a bunch of Bible verses out there, you know, quote Star Trek at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking to you guys.
All
okay.
right. Thanks.
See you. Joe in Ohio, Columbus. Joe?
Hello?
Joe, are you there? Hi.
You kind of muted a little bit when you started talking.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, well, I hope it gets better.
Well, my question is about the fear of indoctrination.
Okay.
Okay.
To give a little background, I have had been in a really dark place in my life, and now that I'm climbing back up, I'm kind of afraid that my close friends and family will kind of try to pull some emotional stuff on me with the religion.
Okay.
So any tips?
Okay. When you say you've been to some dark places, can you describe that a little? Have you, like, suffered from some kind of indoctrination before?
No, it's I'd rather not go into it.
Okay.
If that's fine.
Okay, I guess
right.
I'm just not clear on why you're afraid of being indoctrinated.
Well, I've just been kind of detached from emotion most of my life, and now that I'm kind of really coming back to it, it's a bit of a strange place for me.
Okay.
I mean, I would say that the best thing you can do for yourself is basically practice general skepticism. I mean, you know, if you're dealing with a person who you're afraid is going to sell you on a bunch of emotional stuff, you know, treat the interaction as you would somebody who was trying to sell you a car.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, car dealers are really good at playing on people's you know, vanity and their fears. You know, you won't be cool without a car like this. And you know, if you're dealing with a car dealer, what you would just have to be thinking to yourself all the time, you know, I don't need this car and I don't need this interaction. I can walk away from this anytime I want to go do some more reading. So if somebody says something to you that you can't respond to right at that moment, you could just say, that's an interesting point. Let me go look that up and read about it and get back to you.
Or give me some time to think about this.
Yeah.
And we can talk again later.
Right. You're your own boss. You don't have to be in a conversation with somebody who is being pushy or unpleasant.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that your fear of being indoctrinated might stem a little bit from being afraid that you're not going to stand up for yourself properly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So basically just go back and think for myself about it.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, if you can read some books on skepticism, I don't know if you've read The Demon Haunted World.
My favorite.
I recommend it. It's by Carl Sagan. It's one of the classics. Read that. You know, just practice skepticism at every opportunity. You know, you don't have to be cynical and reject everything, but if someone makes a claim that doesn't seem to comport with reality, it's appropriate to question that. And so, you know, just question things, and if someone is, if they get upset because you're questioning an extraordinary claim, that's a red flag right there. Because if someone makes an extraordinary claim and they have no evidence to back that up, they've automatically failed in their burden, you know, to provide evidence for that.
Yeah, although, you know, when you say think for yourself, I do not mean to imply that you should just sort of retreat and you know, reinforce your preconceptions or anything. I think it's important to take the claims of other people seriously and give them genuine thought with an eye on the idea that they could actually be right. So when you are being skeptical, you should read both sides of the argument very carefully and figure out what the mainstream academic opinion is on something that can be tested and verified. You know, if it's a scientific claim, make sure that you're listening to scientists in the appropriate field. If it's a historical claim, make sure that you're not just listening to some person off the street who happened to come up with some theory after you know, after some cursory reading of something that sounded plausible. Figure out what the mainstream academic opinion is on something. And if it's just an obviously bad argument, figure out what's bad about it. Study up on you know, standard fallacies.
Well, that really helped, guys. Now, thanks. I'll let you go on to other callers now.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, Deshawn, the screeners insist that I was wrong to misidentify you that way. What part of Austin are you in?
Oh, I live on the east side of town.
Okay.
Okay.
Near what?
Near like Chicon and 12th.
Okay. Where, like, what? Just so I know where you're coming from, what are your beliefs?
My beliefs is just general Christianity, just like, you know, Protestant
Okay.
And my question is...
Sorry, we have a repeat troll caller who is an atheist pretending to be a Christian. I thought it was you, and maybe it's not. Go ahead.
Okay, my question was that you guys are always attacking religions, but, religions like Christianity and the other Protestants, we are out doing good things, in the community and helping people and such, but what do the atheists do to help the community, like the homeless and reaching out in the community in the service?
I'm going to throw that to Jen, president of the atheist community of Austin.
Interesting you should ask that, because we operate a free thought library. And we also are right now in the middle of a food drive for the Capital Area Food Bank. We've also participated in Atheists Helping the Homeless, where we hand out food and toiletries to homeless people in Austin, and we don't hold their sandwich hostage until they pray with us. We do blood drives, we do street cleanups, we basically help wherever we can. And we don't ask that people believe in our God or anything like that. We'll help people regardless of their beliefs. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, call screeners.
Yeah.
Emma in Queensland, Australia.
Oh, hi guys. Hi, Russell. Hi, Jen.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, g'day from Australia.
Hello, g'day.
Yeah.
Hi. So, I'm an atheist. I love your show. I have an observation about Australian politics that relates to some topics you address on the atheist experience, if that's okay.
Okay.
So I don't expect that you know much about Australian politics, but we had our first female Prime Minister, Julia Gillard,
Yeah.
in office from 2010 to 2013. So she was a self-acknowledged or declared atheist, a 50-something or other year-old woman with a living long-term boyfriend. Of course, I'm sorry. I'm a bit nervous. All of which are factors that I understand prevent her from getting presidency in America, right?
I'm sorry, what was that? You were breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. So Australia had her female prime minister.
Okay.
Yes.
From 10 to 2013. She was also an atheist, child, 50-something-year-old woman, and a long-term living boyfriend. All of which are factors that I understand would prevent her from getting a high office in America.
The connection really is pretty bad. You said to the call screener that your mom is a Hare Krishna?
Yeah.
Can you, briefly tell us what she thinks and how that affects her relationship with you?
Oh, okay. That was a follow-up thing after the critical comment. But anyway.
I can't even...
I think she said that wasn't the main purpose of her call.
Oh, okay.
But I'm really getting maybe 2 out of every 3 words.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll try and call back.
Yeah, try and call back another week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, or send us an email. We'll be happy to respond to you by email as well.
All right.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, bye. Hey, Rich in Atlanta.
Hey, how are you guys?
All right.
How are you?
Awesome.
Have I talked to you before?
I'm actually driving, so I'm pulling over right now so that I can hear you better. Okay.
Oh,
I'm
good. Be safe. Have I talked to you before?
Yes, we talked a few weeks ago, and I really enjoyed the conversation.
Okay. You were one of the friendly ones, I think.
Well, I'm still trying to catch an episode where Matt can be really mean to me, but that hasn't happened yet. So.
Okay.
Okay.
But basically, I listen to you guys quite a bit, and I've heard you comment on the fact that you don't align yourself with conspiracy theorists, or specifically, I know you guys share a community with the world's most famous conspiracy theorist on the planet.
You mean Alex Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we know that. I keep telling people I have run into Alex Jones right here in this studio one time.
Yeah.
Well, I listen to his show as well.
Okay.
And,
for
I'm
laughs
intrigued.
or for serious?
A little bit of both. I mean,
Okay.
I think,
boy.
I like to listen to people's alternative viewpoints, no matter what they are, and
Okay.
digest them and whatever. But my question to you, since I know that you guys are fairly adamant that you don't agree with conspiracy theorists,
Right.
I kind of see your show as a conspiracy theorist show also,
Okay.
because I'm guessing you think that the church or the Christian message has been somehow like the biggest conspiracy on planet Earth.
Not necessarily.
You would be
because-
completely
yeah.
wrong about that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
so
in
you
order
don't-
for it to be a conspiracy, they would have to sincerely believe that that they were wrong and promote this message anyway.
Yeah.
And while there may be some con artists in the church, I don't think that most people are. I think that they are genuine in their beliefs. You don't think that Islam is a conspiracy, do you?
No, I just think that if the vast majority of people agree on something, then there might be some truth in it.
But the vast majority of people can believe in something and still be mistaken.
Yeah.
And
Can you
have
give me an example?
and have been many times in the past.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example?
I mean, I'm not sure that this is a particularly good example, but I mean, when people fully accepted Aristotelian physics,
Yeah.
People believed that heavy things fell faster than light ones, and
Yeah.
and that the-
Heliocentrism was another example.
Yeah, heliocentrism is a great example, especially since it was various religious organizations that strongly resisted the move to accept the views of Copernicus and Galileo.
Yeah.
Most of them believed it then, and they were wrong, but they weren't lying about believing
Yeah.
in heliocentrism. And I
Okay,
don't think they're
you-
lying about the God either.
Okay, you made an excellent point. I take that point. So what is your view on, like, Alex Jones and those types of conspiracy theorists that believe that the government is somehow ruled by some sort of New World Order, Illuminati, what have you?
Yeah.
I think if the government is ruled by one central body, they must be incredibly incompetent.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I'd have to discuss specific things that Alex Jones thinks. But on the whole,
they're really, if that's true, they're really, really good at keeping everybody except Alex Jones from figuring out that they're, the masterminds behind all this.
Right. Okay. So I know that you proudly consider yourself to be skeptics.
right?
Yes.
Are you often skeptical of official stories when they come out? Like, namely, we got a current one going on with this Flight 370 thing. Like, do you?
I don't think
do
we
you
even
just
have
buy-
an official story
Yeah,
yet.
yeah,
I think people
I
are
haven't-
still, I mean, as far as I could tell from following the news, people have been very forthright about saying we have no idea what happened.
Well, and this is actually one of my complaints about this whole, Malaysian Airlines thing. That's what the Flight 370 thing is for
Right.
people that don't know. Is that, at this point in the investigation, there's no compelling state secrets involved in this. We know that this airliner disappeared.
That's what they want you to think.
Yeah, right. We know this airliner disappeared. And in this vacuum of information, people are coming up with all kinds of weird stuff that's actually got to be really torture to the families involved.
Oh yeah,
you know?
of course, I agree.
And so my complaint is that why haven't people come forward and said, look, this is what we know so far. We're starting to get a little bit of information, but it's coming out in little dribbles of information. And at this point, people know some stuff, and even if it's not very satisfactory, because certainly we don't know what happened to the airliner yet, they could at least come out and say, hey, this is what we know so far.
Well, part of the reason that I really like your show is I tend to be skeptical on things, and
Okay.
I like to dig as much as I can, including in my own religion. I like to do that. I was always told that, your elders kind of know more than you because they've lived on the earth longer, and that you should always kind of heed to them what they have already kind of figured out in their old age.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I do align myself with the Christian religion, is because it's predominantly accepted in my society, and I think that people are mostly in general right about things.
Yeah, and you should also ask yourself, even if it's true that that some people have access to some secret knowledge that you don't have access to, what's to stop other people from claiming to be those people in the know, but lying about it for their own personal gain? Like I always say, suppose that it was possible to talk to the dead. Wouldn't there still be con artists who would say that they're talking to the dead just to get your money, even though they're not the ones with that power? That's why you should be skeptical of what people say, even if what they say happens to be in line with what you already think.
Okay. Going on a slightly different topic here, I've always been curious, what do atheists believe about the afterlife? Because I know that you don't necessarily have to be religious or Christian or whatever to believe that there is an afterlife. Do atheists accept that there might be an afterlife?
There's no position. Atheism is only a response to a claim that some God exists. It doesn't necessitate you having any particular belief beyond that. And so there's no atheist position on the afterlife. For me personally, I don't believe that there is an afterlife. I don't think there's any evidence to support that. For
me too, I don't think that there's any reason to believe in an afterlife, and I think most of the atheists that we hang out with would say that you'd have to provide a hell of a lot of evidence to demonstrate that there's another life where people's personalities somehow consider existing after the physical medium that they have inhabited is gone.
Okay, and I've always assumed that was the atheist position, but so don't you find a dilemma in trying to console people, like at a funeral or something like that?
No. I mean, I think death is a reality. We have to accept that it happens. And what I've found is that people who believe that there is an afterlife and that their loved ones have gone on to heaven, I don't find that their grief is any less. It's not diminished because of that belief. They still have the grief. They still have to work through that in pretty much the same steps as everyone else.
Well,
my sister is a hospice worker. I'm sorry. My sister is an atheist and a hospice worker, and so she has to deal with this stuff for families on a regular basis. She doesn't push her atheism on anybody, but I've had conversations with her, and I think she's with me. And of course, we have the same relatives who are no longer with us. And I think that the both of us approach this sort of philosophically as thinking, well, I'm really sad that Grandpa Milton is gone, but he had such an enormous influence and impact on my life. That he is of importance to me, and he was of importance to a lot of other people, and life goes on, and the things that he taught me are going to continue through the generations. So I think you should openly and honestly confront your sadness and don't diminish it, but also feel pleasure in the contributions that they made to the world of you and your kids.
Now, do you actively pursue that when you are consoling someone, even when you're in your own family? Like if you're at a funeral or a service or something and religion is invoked in that service, do you just sort of go along with it out of respect?
If it's somebody else's funeral who was religious, then I wouldn't stand up and put up a big fight about, they believed a bunch of nonsense and you're all deluded. That's not my thing.
Right.
Yeah. And even dealing with grieving relatives, in my family, if a family member dies and I know that everybody in the family was religious and everything, I'm going to express my condolences and if it's someone that I was close to, I'll express the fact that I'm sorry that they're gone. I'm going to miss them or whatever. I'm not going to invoke their beliefs in God because I don't share those. But I'm also not going to make fun of them if they, bring up a belief in God or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no
Right.
point in that.
On the other hand, if some religious person descends on the death of an atheist like Pat
Yeah.
Tillman and starts talking about how they should
Yeah.
be in a better place, they're fair game.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think at the end of the day, none of us know for sure, which is why I really like your show.
Sure, and
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, thanks, guys.
So
All right,
yeah,
thank you.
thanks
Yeah,
again
time
for
for another
calling,
call.
Rich. Still welcome
All
to
right.
call back.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
You got that? Dave, New York.
Hello.
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 Hey, how's it going?
All right.
Fine,
How are you?
How are you?
Good. I wanted to talk about the purpose of the show. I've only caught it a few times, but I think that if y'all have made the choice to not believe in God, I mean, what's the point of having the show? Because y'all often say that you invite theist callers to call in, and y'all are going to have respectful debates with them, but yet a lot of the time y'all just make fun of the callers and curse at them.
Did you hear the last call?
That one was just, a respectable one, but, more than often y'all have some pretty negative interactions with these
Well,
people.
those are the kinds of calls we shoot for, but sometimes people come at us not in the most respectful tone,
Yeah.
and I think, yeah.
People tend to give as good as they get here. So if someone calls and they're respectful and they're genuinely asking a question, they tend to be treated with more respect versus somebody that that comes in accusing us of being murderers or mischaracterizing our beliefs or something like that.
Right, but also, first and foremost, the purpose of the show is outreach, and that's
Yeah.
not necessarily to the Christians that we have unpleasant calls with, but to atheism is a very minority position, especially in the United States, but even in other countries where they brag about being really secular, a lot of people just politely keep quiet about it and don't discuss it. And I think that by being on the air, we provide a forum and also encouragement to people who may be living somewhere where they're surrounded by people who don't share their point of view.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the primary purposes of this show is education. And with that in mind, I'd like to address something that you said initially when you started this conversation, and that was that we choose to not believe in a God. Okay, belief is not a choice. Okay, if you believe in a God, it's because you're convinced that that God exists. Okay, it's not a choice that you made. Someone convinced you, or you were convinced by something. Someone presented something to you that convinced you that this God exists. Okay, I don't believe because I have not been convinced. And in fact, the evidence that I've seen convinces me that your God does not exist. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit about atheism and the nature of belief for you.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey,
Oh,
can you,
okay.
can you still
Yeah,
hear
well,
us?
I mean, it's my belief that, I think y'all should just focus your energy on, instead of on the blogs cutting down others' beliefs, and focus them on stuff that helps, better life and stuff like that.
Do you read our blog?
Yeah.
I do, and I see tons of stuff where y'all just cut down people that call in every week.
On the blog?
Yeah.
Sometimes I will follow up a call by, I don't know if you saw the blog last week, but a guy called in, actually this is a good time to bring this up, because somebody called in saying that Dan Barker, when he was a Christian, used faith healing to heal someone who was mute. And it turned out the guy just had a sore throat for the evening and couldn't sing. And then after Dan Barker said, "You're healed," suddenly he felt like he could go and sing again.
Yeah.
Not a miracle. And, I brought that up. And I also brought it up in email to the caller, and he said, "Oh, I didn't realize that." So, it's not necessarily attacking someone to call them out. But I do recognize that sometimes our commenters can get a little rowdy.
Yeah,
Excuse
I
me.
saw one that you did once where I think it was the faith caller, and someone was like, "Let's play a game, point at this, and does it have a creator?" And you kind of chimed in, chuckling. So,
Okay.
it's supported by all people of the show.
Right. Well, I
Okay.
mean, we have our own opinions, and sometimes we take things less seriously than others. But that's just my personality. Eric in Boston.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
First time caller. Thank you for taking my call.
Okay.
I wanted to relate to you some of my experiences. I live in Boston, but my father lives in Texas for the last 30 years, and when I visited him, I saw many examples which I consider where religion tends out to be a bad thing, and I thought you'd be interested in this story. We were driving into Louisiana, so we went south on 52 and then east, and we passed through a plethora of very poor, poverty-stricken towns on the southeastern coast of Texas. And in every one of those towns, there were huge, just fantastic buildings, religious churches typically. And I felt that when we were in proximity with the people next to them who were living in trailer houses, and the whole city was in a state of poverty, it was an interesting contrast that I began discussing with my father and my wife, who were in the car at the time. And I wonder how some people, everyone says, well, religion can do good things, but I also see the direct effects where it has on people's lives, million-dollar churches, when in fact the whole towns are otherwise in poverty. And I wonder your feelings on that.
Yeah.
I think it's a terrible waste of money.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are some small positive benefits people can get out of that from feeling good and getting hope and yada, 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 but I can't help thinking that the money would better be spent on education and infrastructure.
Yeah.
Ways to help people tangibly, because there's a finite amount of money in any given community, and it just seems not a very efficient use of resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one clear example in my mind that I always try to discuss with my friends about some of the harms that religion can do. But if you have time for a second example, I have one that's a little more poignant.
Okay.
Okay.
There's this TV show that my daughter likes to watch. It involves, I don't want to say the name, I don't know what your liabilities are, but it involves a person claiming to be a medium in New York.
Okay.
And
is it medium?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow, that was a leap.
Yeah. So it's not strictly religion based, but it does deal with people, spirits,
Right.
talking.
Supernatural. Yeah.
Right. And my daughter likes it because she finds it entertaining. And for months I was watching the show just in the back room. I heard the sounds and stuff. And the medium would generally say, "Oh, your brother loves you," or "He wants you to know he's doing okay." And I found that statements like that were okay. I mean, they didn't really do any harm. But then there was a story about a woman whose brother may or may not have committed suicide. The brother definitely passed. And there was no note that was left. And on the episode on a TV show, the medium claimed to the woman that the brother told the medium that he did not commit suicide and that, in fact, he had just simply had a heart attack. But that was belied by all the evidence. The death report was suicide.
Yeah, you don't even need to go to fiction for that kind of thing, since
Sure.
Horrible person and real-life medium Sylvia Browne died a few months ago.
Yeah.
Sylvia Browne, of course, had been asked on an interview if she had predicted when she would die, and she said, 10 years from now. So I think there's no question that she was a fake psychic, but she went around convincing the police and people that that she had special insights into police cases, and there was a particular situation. I mean, it's very nice when it gets shown as fiction and everything works out on a TV show, but when it happens in real life, you get situations like where Sylvia Browne was asked to find this missing person, and she was like, "Oh, he's dead. don't bother looking for or her. It
Yeah.
was that
Yeah.
kidnapped girl, right?
Yeah, she's dead.
Who turned up in being held in that guy's basement for a while, and she said he was dead. So,
Yeah.
Horrible person.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting testimony to the fact that these are real consequences that can happen when people have belief structures that are strange.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it also wastes the time of the police when somebody tells them to look somewhere and they're not there.
And it's an example of the general harm that's done when people believe things that there's no evidence for. So.
Right, and a lot of times it happens with gullible people who have relatives who just passed away, so they're gullible from grief.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or semi-poverty, as in Texas, so they're looking for a way out, wishful thinking, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks for the call. You have
I've been
announcements
asked
real quick?
over and over, and I've just been forgetting
Yeah.
to remind everybody out there that there is no show next week, March 23rd. There's some kind of thing happening in the studio. However, normally there wouldn't be a show on March 30th because it's a fifth Sunday, but there will be a show then in place of that missing show. So no show next week. Show with Matt Dillahunty 2 weeks from now. I'm not sure
That's
who the
right.
co-host is.
Yeah.
I
think it's Martin in 2 weeks.
Matt and Martin, probably.
Yeah.
So just file that away. I know you're all going to email us anyway and ask where the show is.
Yeah.
Eric in Boston, oh, you got like 30 seconds. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm amazed I actually got through this time. I've tried calling lots and lots of times.
Wait. No,
Hello?
wait. Did I get? We just talked to Eric in Boston.
Yeah.
I'm not
so
Eric.
You're somebody else.
You're right.
I don't even know who you are. Make it quick.
You want me to tell you what I wanted to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to know if any of you have heard of something called the quantum suicide thought experiment.
I have no idea what that is.
I'm quite sure you don't have time to explain what that is, but you can hang on and we'll talk to you in the after show if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sure people can Google that. I'm sorry about that. That's our show. So no show next week. Thank you, great crew, for making everything possible. And talk to you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
No fade out. Awkward stares.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We're in the after show, and I'm going to go back to Emma in Queensland, who I guess has a better phone now.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Sorry, can you hear me this time?
Yes, much better.
Okay, good. I don't think I was clear earlier. I wanted to make a political comment, and then I had a question about my mum, who's a hairdresser. So I don't know if you know much about Australian politics, but we had our first female Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, in office from 2010 to 2013.
Yes.
So she was, apart from being a woman, she was actually a self-acknowledged atheist as well, and she was a 50-something or other year old childless woman with a live-in long-term boyfriend.
Okay.
All of which I understand are factors which would prevent her from gaining a high office in American politics.
Mm-hmm. Well, not legally, but politically, yeah, she'd probably be. Yeah.
So none of that was particularly relevant to me in voting for her or anything, because in Australia we don't have quite the same religiously dogmatized sort of culture, you know, with the media and so on and so forth. And we've got more of a multicultural population, so I guess it's less of a strong Christian stronghold sort of thing.
Okay.
Anyway, I happened to come across an old online Facebook petition from when Julia was a Prime Minister, which was actually petitioning her to acknowledge God and reverse her atheistic stance. And it's a bit long-winded, but it basically says that in her position as quote-unquote head of the Commonwealth of Australia, which she wasn't, the Governor-General is, but anyway, she needs to become a Christian and renounce atheism for the good of the country, because many conveniently unnamed countries have done disastrously when they disregarded God.
Well, if she ever saw that, I hope her response was to flip the bird or something.
Yeah.
So, well, it only got about 100 signatures, and I thought it was funny when I first sort of read it. But then I realized that, how the audacity, how rude that was. And I've been listening to a lot of your shows, and it's kind of out of order because it's on Facebook, but there's been a few callers in the last few, not weeks, but episodes or whatever, where they're phoning up to say, you're such a meanie, and why are you doing this and picking on religion and all that. And I just wanted to say it's examples like this that show that, it's the other way around. Like, people with religion feel that they have the right to dictate other people's... I mean, can you imagine writing a letter, a mass letter, I guess, to your president saying, you need to consider atheism because Christianity is the, non-thinking sort of option?
I'm sure someone has started a petition about that.
I bet Dave Silverman would totally do that.
So anyway.
So I thought that was interesting. Okay. So I had a question. My mum is a Hare Krishna. She has been since I was 15 or so. Mm-hmm. And we've had this... I was originally Hare friendly, I suppose. I wore their version of... the beads and all that sort of stuff, and then became less tolerant and eventually an atheist and all that. And they are one of the more benign religions, but they do preach and proselytize an awful lot, and Mum just can't help herself.
My general policy with preachy parents is to let them know, you're my mom, and I'm, I love you very much, and I want to stay close to you, but I'm not going to have this discussion with you anymore. And stick to that. What?
Because I always buy it.
Well, maybe you actually enjoy having the conversation.
Yeah, and if you do, that's fine.
It breaks down really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if it breaks down quickly, then I think that's a good reason just not to have it, because, it's not that important to you, and it's going to potentially drive a wedge between you.
Well, she's got this one thing, the reason I was calling us, I was hoping maybe you would have a better answer that I haven't come up with in the last 10 years or so. They've got this thing where they, and I say, religion is rubbish and go into all that, and they've got this thing where they say the Krishna faith, Hare Krishna, it's not a religion, it's the science of self-realization. And that's kind of like it's a, little...
Ask her what their
sort of
ask her what their peer-reviewed journals are.
Don't you love how religions keep trying to cast themselves as some kind of science, because it's way more respectable than just hey, we're a religion.
I know. It drives me crazy because to me science is the antithesis to religion, and that's why I buy it, because it drives me crazy because it's so not scientific.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Emma, it is the after show, so we're trying to move it along.
Yeah.
So, but thanks for calling, and good luck with your mom.
Yeah.
Well, so no suggestions apart from the peer-reviewed journals, though.
Oh.
I guess if you like the discussions and you don't think they're going to damage your relationship with your mom, then have at it. If it's causing,
right,
there to
but
be...
it's okay if somebody makes a ridiculous claim just to say that is ridiculous and I can't believe you said that, and not try to come up with some rigorous deconstruction of it.
Yeah.
What you said just makes no sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Fair enough.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
I think Kelly is our now.
Well, yeah, but this guy that I picked up before, I don't know your name, but you're
Paul.
the quantum suicide.
Yeah, I was disoriented before.
I'm sorry,
because I didn't. It's more than 7 seconds of delay.
The line
with
displayed.
the stream that I was watching. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
realize
don't-
it was right at the end.
Don't watch
Yeah.
the stream.
Anyway, do you want me to explain what quantum suicide kind of is?
Can you make it quick?
Yeah, very quickly.
All right. It really you're probably thinking it's some sort of quantum mysticism, but it isn't.
Okay.
It also doesn't really have anything to do with quantum mechanics. It's basically an application of the anthropic principle to your own consciousness. It's basically the idea that if we're in an infinite universe, that it's like monkeys at a typewriter, typing forever. Eventually, if they actually randomly hit the keys and they don't hit the 4 button over and over again, they'll eventually type the works of Shakespeare.
Yeah,
You've heard this before.
Yeah, I've heard it.
But if you apply it to, an infinite universe, you're bound to exist somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't buy
and
it. I mean, look at it this way. Pi is an infinite string, or just because something is infinite doesn't mean that all possible configurations exist within it. Like, for
Yes,
instance,
like I just explained with hitting the 4 button over again. I understand that.
Yeah. And the thing is, we don't know the nature of the infinite universe. We don't know that repeats are even possible, so we can't really assume that
I'm not
there
even
are
really
multiple
talking
copies
about
of something.
repeating like in the time dimension. I'm
Right.
saying that if the universe is infinite in the three spatial dimensions, that other copies of you will exist somewhere.
I don't think the universe is infinite in the 3 spatial dimensions.
Why not?
I think the Big Bang precludes that. I think that the universe is. I think the concept is that it is infinite but unbounded in some sense. Does that sound right to you?
You mean finite but unbounded?
Oh, excuse me. Finite but unbounded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, either it's got some sort of boundary, or where there's like an edge of the
I'm
universe.
sure this argument is fascinating, but I think you should save it for another time.
All right. Yeah, I get it. You're out of time. I'm sorry.
See ya.
I tried.
And who was the last person? Kelly. Kelly,
Hey,
you
am
still
I
there?
on the air?
Yes. Well,
Oh, hey.
this is after the show, so there's an internet audience.
Oh, that's all right, man. I just wanted to talk about creation science, I guess. A guy at work tried to pitch it to me, and then he accused me of being an atheist.
Are you?
I'm not really sure.
Oh.
I'm kind of just an agnostic, I guess.
Okay. Well,
I really don't have any position on the existence of God, or when it comes to science, I suppose.
well, if you don't actively believe in a God, then we would call you an atheist.
Yeah.
Atheist just means not believing.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I guess he tried to pitch it to me. He gave me a video on Ken Haven, a bunch of them, and
yeah, Kent Haven, the con artist tax dodger.
yes, that's correct. That and then he got in an emotional battle with me, and I basically just backed off, and it was bad, dude. It was, I don't know what else to say, but yeah, he kind of damaged me psychologically, I guess. I was just
What?
It's crazy, man, and
Okay.
yeah.
Well, if I were you, I mean, if you need some ammo against creationism, I think you should check out talkorigins.org, and especially a particular page called Answers to Common Creationist Claims. Just Google that up. There's hundreds of them, and you can search them by general category, and that ought to give you all the ammo you need for this guy.
All right. I'll try, man, but he's basing his beliefs off of faith.
Yeah,
And
you're not going to make much progress then.
Yeah, I've tried to help. I'm really concerned about him. He thinks the Earth is 10,000 years old, and I'm just confused. And I mean, I was kind of I wasn't born a Catholic. I guess I was a Catholic in my teenage years and maybe in my early 20s, and then I just became kind of a skeptic, put it that way.
Okay.
I guess I'd like to use that word instead of atheism. Kind of negative, but yeah.
I don't know. I like it.
I know you guys like it, I know, but I live in the Midwest, and if I do that, man, I really get attacked big time. And
right.
It's very hard for me to. I basically I'm in the closet, but I guess I came out with him and tried to convince him otherwise.
Right.
He permanently believes that all the dating methods are wrong, and
well, yeah, they've got a pretty elaborate network of wrong beliefs that they build around their incorrect original belief.
Yes. I mean, I would like to. I'd like to start a secular student alliance, but
are you a student?
Yeah, I go to a community college in Omaha. Yes.
I think you should get in touch with the Secular Student Alliance National Organization because they specialize in getting local groups up and running. And so they would certainly be able to talk to you at more length.
All right. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm going to major in, but I'm kind of in my early 30s, but I'll make do, man.
Okay. Good luck. Maybe consider something in science.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Maybe, I guess I'm just going to major in philosophy, I suppose.
Okay. I mean, I want to encourage people to be philosophers, but personally, I'd advise close friends to major in something profitable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were both computer geeks, and that's turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
we're going to let you go.
Fine.
Good luck to you.
Thanks. Bye.